usually when it comes to breakdown of support and everything will pass to me. You are right that the breakdown is very much representative of Malaysia. 43% Malays, 53% Chinese, and about 22%.
That is our niche.
India. In the case of PKR, it's not that far off from the profile of our membership, which is 50% Malays and 50% non-Malays. Your hypothesis just now that Anwar Ibrahim is not popular with non-Malays and did not get the support of non-Malays actually was proven wrong in all the previous general elections, because Anwar Ibrahim in 2008 was the first opposition leader to garner the highest majority support from the non-Malays, and under his leadership since 2008 the opposition coalition, then Pakatan Rakyat and then Pakatan Harapan, continued to get overwhelming support from the non-Malays. I fail to see any data or any proof that points to so-called non-confidence from non-Malays for Pakatan or Datuk Seri Anwar. The real issue, I think, will be very much whether or not we will have the kind of voters turnout that we want. Based on all data, all tracking that we do continuously since general election and until today, there is no indication that the voting pattern from the last general election is going to be reversed. So on that basis, I think it is a seat that is workable, and it has the best potential, and I'm sure Anwar Ibrahim as the oncoming Prime Minister would inject more excitement on the ground, and hopefully we would be able to garner enough interest to achieve the voters turnout that we want. In fact, I think voters have, in Malaysia, have very long memory and have always decided based on track record. The support for Pakatan Rakyat and then Pakatan Harapan from the non-Malays, whether or not he was a government or opposition leader, I think is not so much, and data has proven, is pretty much because of his strong position on a sense of justice and for everyone. He was the first Malay leaders in this country who have continuously advocated for assistance to everyone based on needs. And I think the non-Malays, the Malays decide on who to vote, not so much from some hypothesis like that, but based from a very strong track record that Anwar Ibrahim and Pakatan has had over the last 20 years. So I'll add a bit more on that. Ini akan jadi isu yang mungkin diulang beberapa kali lah, yang bahawa mengusungkan kerusi itu adalah satu pengkhianatan. Kita kena tengok mandat. Berkhianat selalunya dikaitkan dengan mandat rakyat. Kita kena tengok kepada mandat rakyat. Apa mandat yang diberikan kepada ahli parlimen dan parti-parti yang menang di peringkat kawasan untuk menjaga kebajikan dan kesejahteraan penduduk dan pengundi di situ, di peringkat parti dan di peringkat nasional untuk memastikan kerajaan sekarang iaitu Pakatan Harapan mengutarakan janji-janji yang telah pun kita tawarkan kepada rakyat dalam pilihan raya. Apabila Datuk Danyal membuat keputusan untuk memberi laluan kepada Datuk Seri Anwar, keputusan itu datang dengan kerelaan beliau untuk terus berkhidmat di bawah walaupun beliau bukan ahli parlimen lagi. Kita juga ada sahabat-sahabat daripada pusat khidmat beliau. Kita ada saudara Umar, bekas tentera, kita ada Komando Puah yang telah menyatakan kesediaan bahawa mereka akan terus berkhidmat dengan rakyat. Bukan soal kalau jadi ahli parlimen baru nak berkhidmat atau tidak. On that basis, I think, ask ourselves, if you are an MP, would you be willing to continue to serve your constituency when you are no longer an MP? Banyak ahli parlimen daripada semua yang jadi ahli parlimen pun kadang-kadang tidak berkhidmat dengan baik. So on that basis, I think we have a rare person among us. After his retirement, he only wants to serve. He comes back out of retirement to serve, and he's willingly making way for Datuk Sri, so that Datuk Sri can strengthen Pakatan's government through parliamentary reform. And in that sense, bila kita meneruskan khidmat di bawah dengan rakyat, pada masa yang sama dengan penyertaan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, kita mengukuhkan reformasi di parlimen dan mengukuhkan kerajaan. Sebenarnya itulah mandat yang diberi oleh rakyat. Proses ini membenarkan Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim bertanding, sebenarnya mengukuhkan lagi mandat kita dan mengangkat mandat yang diberikan oleh rakyat. Sebab itu saya ingat soal khianat atau tidak ini tidak timbul, dan dalam 2-3 bulan akan datang, saya ingat pengundi-pengundi di Port Dickson akan berterima kasih dan memahami bahawa yang dibuat oleh Datuk Danyal adalah satu pengorbanan besar yang berjiwa besar, because he will be there on the ground. And now on top of that, with the full backing of the Prime Minister in waiting, I think the people of Port Dickson is among the luckiest dari segi service, because you get the Prime Minister in waiting, and at the same time you have the best team to service them on the ground. And I have to point out as well, they are all from ex-servicemen. Kita ada Rear Admiral, kita ada Commander, dan Port Dickson kita ada Major, dan Port Dickson adalah bandar tentera darat. So it's all being planned and it's all being put in place so that we will have the best of teams serving the people, and time will tell, insyaAllah, that the issue of mengkhianati dan sebagainya itu tidak berbangkit. Perspektif, I don't know whether how many of you have been around in all the press conference for the last 4 years. Before GE14, repeatedly the public, the middle class and reporters like you have been asking us, voters disillusionment, voters turnout, voters this and voters that, and fair enough. And I have repeatedly said there was no indication that would be a significant drop in voters turnout for G14. What we have is this. We have concerns, you have issues for every election that you have to manage. Obviously, the low voters turnout for the last 3 by-election is something that we have to take on board. When you go into a campaign, when you have to manage different issues, there are different ways to ensure that if you target a certain voters turnout, we have to work towards a certain voters turnout. But that should not decide whether or not you proceed with what ultimately is the right decision. So, to your question, is there a concern? I think everyone would understand that at this early stage after the last general election, it is understandable if we have a problem with voters turnout. Therefore, YB Nurul Izzah, who will be leading the general election, the by-election, obviously would have to pay more attention to focus on mobilization and GOTV to make sure that we get more people to come out. So it's a challenge for us, but we have proven from the last general election, even in the most challenging environment, when all odds were stacked against us, when we had to do what we think is right, we went ahead and alhamdulillah, the result was good. We have remained like that in our strategy, and hopefully we have enough time and we put in place the right campaign narratives to get as many people to turn out. And I think Datuk Seri Anwar and Datuk Danyal have a lot of things up their sleeves that can actually help us getting more people to come out to vote.